Hi, I'm Matt Hatton from technology industry analyst firm Transformer Insights. We're here at the IMC's IoT News Desk live from the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas. I am joined by Ellen Boehm from Keyfactor. Ellen, welcome.
Hi.
Hope you're enjoying the show.
Wonderful. I'm so glad to be here.
Absolutely. It's nice to be back, actually.
It is nice to be back in person and just to see all the activity.
Absolutely.
Fabulous.
Busy. Tell us a little bit about you, your company, who you are, what you do, and then we'll delve into some interesting questions about what you're doing.
Yes. So I am the SVP of IoT Strategy and Operations at Keyfactor. Keyfactor is a cybersecurity software company, and we provide customers with expertise and solutions around public key infrastructure, certificates, and certificate management. So we'll go a little bit more into what that means for IoT, but we do that for enterprise as well as connected devices.
Okay, good stuff. We're here involved in the IoT bit of the Consumer Electronics Show. Current state of IoT security, how do you see that?
Evolving, for sure.
Well, that's good and bad, I guess.
It is good. So first off, I think being here and seeing the explosion of solutions and technologies across multiple verticals has been very interesting. So many solutions are being invented to solve problems now that we have connectivity and we have infrastructure and platforms to be able to support connections from very small sensors to turn things off and on, and to do that to have benefits or have improved efficiency in operations and all those sorts of good things. So what I see and what we talk to our customers about is how to make sure that as you're developing and designing these products, that you're thinking with a security mindset from the start. Obviously, connected devices are not new. If you think about the smart home, we've had devices that have been on private networks, disconnected, but still able to turn things off and on and put blinds and shades and lights up and down. But now when we want to then connect those devices to the internet, we open up this sort of can of worms about hackers being able to get into your house and check out your baby monitor and unlock your garage door. So those are the things that I think now OEMs and designers are thinking about more upfront, right? And what is a more holistic approach to designing in security from the beginning? And so that's sort of the trend that I'm seeing, kind of going from security as an afterthought and something we need to do to let's kind of new platforms, new programs think about this from the beginning, which is encouraging.
The term is secure by design, right? That's the phrase that. Is that the phrase that people still use, or is that a bit old hat now?
Yes, I think that has the right sentiment at heart, right? It's like look at the architecture of your system. What are the endpoints? What do they need to talk to? And then from the cloud side, what applications need to have access to that data? And then the bottom line is really making sure that you're securing the connection that comes from that edge device that goes through some untrusted internet, which could be cellular, it could be Wi-Fi network. You cannot trust, necessarily the medium that you're going through. So we have to make sure to secure those endpoints, allow only trusted people and trusted applications to talk to those things.
And is this a scale issue? Bigger scale in IoT, and so more threat vectors, or is there qualitatively something different as well?
Yes. So I think scale is definitely something that we are seeing exploding. Already there are more devices in the world than there are people, right? And we always talk about how those devices need to be uniquely addressable. So just as you and I have a passport or an identification card that kind of says who we are, along with some other unique information, we need to make sure that all the devices that we produce also have that, and that they can be validated. And so the best way that we talk about doing that is with a unique digital identity, right? And that comes in the form of a certificate. So we issue certificates which are complex. There's crypto algorithms inside to make sure that is a unique identity and it cannot be cracked. right? Because then you can sort of take over control. So we want to be able to do that at scale, to your point, because every single connected medical device that's being produced, that think about like insulin pens or other sort of devices that are mass quantity. We have to make sure that they, are secure.
Completely. You mentioned a couple of examples there. Some examples of industries that are addressing security for IoT devices today. Can you talk us through a few of those?
Yeah, so I think medical is one that I mentioned. You think about having an embedded pacemaker and that data maybe having to go to a patient phone and then go back to a doctor. Again, we want to make sure that is not intercepted, right?
I knew what you meant.
Yes, exactly. Vehicles, so we're obviously connected vehicles, and I know earlier there was some panel discussion about 5G enabling just automotive, so for EV charging, right, to authenticate a user to be able to then charge their account for the energy that they're using, and that vehicle is tied to that actual person, and so those types of things, as well as inside the vehicle itself, we're seeing more and more systems, right, that are electronic in nature. There's new features and functionality and tech that's going into a car, multiple lines of code running these. It's like a driving data center is kind of what we say.
Yeah.
So that is an industry where they're taking it very seriously about ensuring that the ECUs on the cars, that the gateways inside the cars that are making all of these connections are secure from the start, so that when you're pushing over the air feature updates or fixes or new features, that again the manufacturer knows that it's coming from them, and the driver of the car can feel assured, yes, I'm going to install a new update to my car. Maybe it's happening when I'm driving, but it's not going to break while I'm there, it's not going to crash, And then one more piece adding on to that would be the whole V2X thing, right? So we have to have our car be able to trust and authenticate to a traffic signal or to another vehicle when we're into autonomous. A lot of autonomous trucking applications that are coming up. So these are the exciting places where I see new technology being used and security being thought of.
And it's becoming much more networked, to use the term. You've got devices talking to other devices. It's not just a device to cloud thing anymore. So presumably there's a lot more authentication. You mentioned V2X, or of authentication of different endpoints with each other, which adds, order of magnitude more complexity, right?
Whole nother level. And I think that's a good lead into the smart home space. So if you're familiar with Matter, the smart home protocol, I know there's a lot of, the launch of that was a few years ago, and I think a lot of OEMs have been adopting it, right? The spec came out last year, so we've been following that. Really, I think that as a group of manufacturers, the realization is if we're going to be successful in smart home, have it take off, we have to have interoperability, okay? So interoperability then means, again, you have to trust that this device is allowed to connect to this device and all of that. So how we do that, and the heart of Matter from a security perspective is all built around certificates.
Yes.
Okay. So that's something that, again, we're working with several OEMs to make sure that they have that infrastructure from manufacturing to be able to put an identity in a device, have that device then be able to, when it's in operation, authenticate to other things, and that's all validated on the back end.
Yeah, I completely hadn't thought about that with regard to Matter, which we would expect that to be the dominant smart home technology, and the idea behind it is it's device to device rather than having to go back through some kind of hub or peering point. You can effectively connect device to device, and so you need that authentication, that high degree of functionality within that technology, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Fascinating stuff. What's the security and crypto community doing to assist OEMs, device producers, operators, and so on with the security challenges?
Yes. So from my perspective, we're collaborating. I'd start with that word. So at Keyfactor, we work with vendors or with OEMs from anywhere from, like I mentioned, medical, automotive, to energy, smart home, smart meter. It's really trying to see what's happening across different industries from a best practice perspective, and then understanding regulations that I think are appearing, emerging, right, that talk about best practices for using cryptography, using certificates, using unique identities, and then being able to partner with our customers to help them implement that. And it's not only about initial manufacturing, it's over the lifetime of the device, because we know that cryptography is changing, that quantum computing is becoming more and more relevant. So we're developing quantum resistant crypto algorithms that should make things stronger and more secure when it comes to encryption. So for us, that's kind of, we're thinking several years out in terms of where crypto needs to be to protect all of these things that now have some sort of basic identity on them, but we want to be able to then, in the future, if that becomes too weak and can be cracked with computational power, to be able to update that and put something that's more quantum resistant. So that's a bit more further out, but that's kind of the stuff that we're thinking about so that we can be prepared to help in the future.
And you have to, don't you? You have to be thinking that far out. And
Yeah.
boom. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Take care.